One trend I'm seeing is a lot of people wanting to build YouTube channels, but really very few people actually are successful with it. And I don't want to discourage anyone, but you got to take it really seriously and not trying to be building a TikTok and Instagram and Facebook group at the same time. That's where I think people go wrong, is they look at someone who's successful fourth quarter and they say, I need to do everything this person does. And they have a Facebook group and they have Instagram followers and they have a TikTok and they have a YouTube channel. But it's like they didn't get there that way.
Welcome to the Raquel Show. This show is for entrepreneurs who want to play bigger in business and in life. And today I have a very special guest that I actually met through a coaching client, and he is the founder and driving force of AgentLant. He has helped elevate thousands of agents to stay on top of the cutting edge. He's overseen $11.5 million in ad spend for agents. And I want to talk to him about lead generation systems, conversion systems, and YouTube channels. And I'm excited to have this conversation because who doesn't want more sales, more leads, and want to nail their conversion? So I'm excited to have this conversation. Welcome to the show, Eric Preston.
Thanks for having me, Raquel. Excited to be here.
I want to dive into it. First things first, all the things that you could actually specialize in, how did you happen to land on lead generation, specifically like even ads?
Yeah, so I kind of stumbled upon it. I ended up working for a real estate marketing agency, and over a short period of time, I was given the opportunity to take on the COO's role to go out to real estate brokerages and present on how to run Facebook ads. So I got to learn from some amazing people, and I ended up doing well over 100 in-person workshops in real estate brokerages teaching Facebook ads. So after that experience, I became an agent, started implementing all of this stuff I had been refining and learning, and it worked. And then I had a ton of people ask me what we were doing in our office at the time. So me and my business partner back then, we started up a course where we were teaching Facebook and Google ads, mostly a little bit of YouTube. And yeah, we found Google always worked a lot better for us. So we leaned into that, and that became our specialty. And I used all of that teaching experience in real life and translated that into building a YouTube channel, which now has about 30 some thousand subscribers. And that's been a big driving force for growing our business anyway at AgentLant. And it's something I've been able to teach a lot of agents as well. It's been a big part of our program, leveraging video in the conversion process and how to build YouTube videos and short form videos and stuff like that. So that's the medium length story for you.
Yeah, I love it because I know that as agents continue to build their business, you're seeing more and more agents understand the digital side of things, whether it's social media, YouTube, all these different platforms, and they're definitely attracting leads through it. How do you determine, when you work with somebody, how do you determine their ideal audience for YouTube or Google ads? Are there any key demographics or behaviors that you tend to look for?
As far as our clients, yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is someone who's willing to make the calls and follow the process. And I know you know what I mean when I say that. That's the defining factor often of when we have a very successful client and we don't, is the people that sometimes don't are the ones that come in, they're super busy and then they never make time for anything and they don't really show up. And there's the people who are really eager and they know what to expect and they really jump in head first. And so that's mainly what we look for. I would say these days we're focused on the new construction business. So we're really building out a lot of funnels with both landing pages, paid advertising, and video to not only generate but convert people who are interested in buying a new home. Obviously, people think they want a new home, they buy resale. People think they want resale, they end up buying new. There's a lot of crossover, but we've niched ourselves into that world for reasons we'll probably get into. But it's an exciting...
let's get into it now.
Cool. It's an exciting industry, I think, in the US right now. It's 30% of the market currently. It's bigger than a lot of people realize. And I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most agents that I speak to are very scared to go into this ad space or like the advertising, but they're willing to actually spend a ton of money for some of these online lead platforms like a Zillow or a realtor.coms. What do you think makes it for the agents that are hesitant to even consider about advertising? What should they actually be considering when it comes to advertising versus just paying somebody for leads?
I think anyone and their dog can run an ad. So I think there's always people like to commoditize the industry a little, but there's definitely layers of how good you can do this. And a Google PPC or a Facebook service, they're definitely not all equal. The pages, how you run the ads, how you optimize them. So I always caution people to say, hey, realtors love to go on message boards and Facebook groups and talk. Oh yeah, I used this company and it wasn't good, or it was good, or whatever. There's all kinds of bad companies out there when it comes to real estate lead generation. Obviously, they're a dime a dozen, and I think you have to be careful and really have them show you an undeniable stack of proof that they are who they say they are, and are doing quality work. And I think for us, like, we were doing resale marketing and new construction for a couple of years. I mean, we've been doing resale for 6-7 years now, but the new construction came into the fold 2 years ago, and we started not relying on the IDX. We started building landing pages, and landing pages represent a certain area or a certain master plan community or project. And the quality of lead we were getting was much better. And I think that's getting back to your question, is like looking for a company that specializes in something. Because if you do find a jack of all trades type of company, they're not going to be the best in any one thing. And we've always built our business by being the best at Google. And so we focused that even further into the niche of new construction. And there are some niches within real estate, but I think they don't always lead with the marketing effort. Like, people say, oh, I want to target move up buyers or move down, or be within some niche within real estate. But the way people engage online or search online isn't always like that. Like, it's
Yeah.
hard to target a move up or move down buyer, for example. The better play is to build that into your sales process. So say, hey, I have a special interest in working in these type of people, keeping the marketing or at least lead generation in the areas you want to generate leads, and then leveraging video marketing to get a little bit more niche, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I don't know too much about like ads. So how could an agent, what questions would they ask if they were interviewing a advertising agent, or they decided, like you said, with these forums, what should they be looking for to even know that it's good versus average versus terrible?
Yeah, I think it comes down to the performance numbers. Like, how much have you spent on advertising is a good question. Or people love to ask me, what's the average conversion rate? And I usually have a really long answer to that, because we just brought on a client, Matt, who closed 5 deals in his first 2 months, and he has 5 more in the hopper. But he's a hustler. So he's coming on our coaching call next week to show everyone what he's doing. And then I can give the same leads to someone who doesn't make the calls, and it doesn't give you a really good number. I like to speak to almost both extremes in a certain way, but it is a good question to see how they handle it. Because if they say,
Mhm.
if they say this, oh, the conversion rate's 3%. It's okay. Where are you getting that number from?
Right.
Is it an average of all clients? Is it an average of just the clients that were engaged or took part? Or how did you come to 3%? Because it might be 3% in the first year, could be 5% after 2 or 3 years, could be even higher. I think the way they answer that question will show you the trench knowledge that they actually have of the industry. Because conversion rates are a funny thing. If you say, what's the conversion rate? You can only really judge that at least in a year. So if I generate
Mhm.
100 leads in April, I want to judge that next April, how many of those converted? And then the April after that, looking 2 years back, of those 100 leads I generated in April this year, how many of those have now converted? So the conversion rate should go up. And I love this story because he actually works with Market Leader now, but we have a good relationship. And he did Google PPC 5 years ago, and he did a deep dive earlier this year. He only generated 150 leads, and he didn't take it seriously. Then he went into MLS as a bit of a study, and he looked up every single email that he generated. It was 150 people. And he said 55% of them had transacted in the last 5 years. And so what that says is it's a long game. And I think if you're interviewing an agency, they should be talking and thinking and setting the expectation that it's a long game, because there's no other way around it. You're
Yeah.
dealing with people, and people change their mind. They're also liars. They'll say they're a year out, and all of a sudden they find a house they love and they're 2 months out. So I think just gauging the company and how they answer that question is really important.
I think it's always easier when I talk to agents to generate leads, right? A lot of people can buy leads, they can put their videos out there, but really what it comes down to, if you're going to make money in real estate, it's got to come down to sales. So your conversion process is probably more important than sometimes the leads, because like you said, you can have 100 leads, and if 55 of them converted, it was the conversion mechanism in your business that kind of faltered. So is there any tools or systems that you guys require, since you guys are generating leads for agents today, that they must have in place before they even think about spending?
Yeah, so I agree. It almost always comes down to the conversion. Like, you can move the needle with the marketing and lead generation, but it always comes down to the conversion. Like, you can definitely do the advertising really bad and get bad leads, and you can do the advertising well and you can get better leads, but it doesn't matter if you don't have a good conversion system. That's really what it all comes down to. I can speak to our process. We like to leverage video, but we also like to have some accountability measures because agents need that, and we also like to have tracking. So when a new lead comes in, we set up a system in our client's CRM where they get a task on day 1, day 3, day 7 to basically send a text, make a phone call, and send an email. That's a minimum. Like, ideally, more calls, you're going to get more responses. We should all know this. I think there was a study done, and it was recently, I saw, it was like more than half of leads generated online in real estate don't even ever get a call. And so essentially, you have your first week process. The baseline is like day 1, day 3, day 7, send a text, make a phone call, send an email. Generally, what we have clients do is record a few videos. So one could be like the process of working with an agent. The other is the process of buying new construction. You can do this with Loom or BombBomb, just walking them through the basics and giving out some value. And then you're able to reference that when you call them as well. And then your goal of the first week is to essentially categorize them as hot, nurture, unresponsive. So hot means they're within 90 days, you've talked to them. Nurture means they're outside of 90 days, you've talked to them. Unresponsive means you haven't talked to them. And then you have your recently active pipeline, which is people are searching on your site. So a really simple, basic system. So when you put someone in hot, you're going to get a weekly task to follow up with them. And the goal is to get them 25 leads in that pipeline to have a really healthy business. Nurture, you're going to get a task to do a personalized outreach every month. Unresponsive, they're just going to get your mass communication. So we highly recommend everyone does a weekly deal of the week email highlighting a listing they love. That's ultimately what people care about before they care about the agent, is properties. So feed
Mm-hmm.
into that. And then a monthly or biweekly newsletter is great too, so that at least the people unresponsive are still getting your communication. It's still relevant and timely. A lot of
Yeah.
people like to put people on these 2-year long drip campaigns where 18 months from now, they're just getting some cookie cutter email that was developed a long time ago. Whereas the newsletter and the deal of the week, that's always relevant information. It's always fresh, it's new, it's relevant right now. And so there's a lot more you can do with that, and it's just more effective. So I think it really comes down to having a good measurable activities plan every day and sticking to it. And I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of agents doing exactly this one thing for a long time. And that's always what it comes down to. It's always the same thing. Are you blocking time in your calendar to make the calls? Get creative. Like, we have these mastermind calls, so that one of our clients shared a text he was sending on day 7, and it was a meme, and he was getting a 50% response rate by sending like just a meme of this character from the show saying, "I'm waiting for you," in a funny way. And there's just funny little things you can do to get creative, to get responses from people, because they're getting
Yeah.
your messages. They're just not engaging sometimes because they don't want to be sold.
Yep. It's engagement, right? Once you have engagement, there's a back and forth that you can volley into getting closer to what they ultimately want, which is to buy a house. You talked about video, and you help agents. You also teach agents help, with video. What have you found to be the most effective videos that agents could record today for, let's say, YouTube, that could generate them leads?
Yeah. So what we're seeing work right now is like boots on the ground filming. So one thing generally speaking, educational videos. So you want to teach your audience as a way to build trust. This has worked for me for a long time. If you go to my YouTube channel, Eric Preston, you'll see I'm just teaching how to run ads, how to do this, how to do that. And it's a way you can build trust with people and offer value first. And the same rule applies. Teach people about whether your niche is new construction or the intricacies of doing a move up or move down or whatever your niche or your thing is. There's always something unique that you can teach. In new construction, if you walk through a construction site and talk about the construction, talk about the process, talk about what's different about it, show people boots on the ground, like what it's like to be there, can be really effective. But then leveraging these videos in your sales process, not just leaving them on YouTube and hoping for the best, which is what most people do. Use them. If you get an objection, make a video about that and then use that video when you get asked that, rather than replying to a text or an email, say, oh, I actually made a cool video about that. Check this out. Let me know what questions you have. And then you can follow up. Hey, did you get a chance to watch that video? So I think it's more about making the videos about questions you're getting. What gaps in knowledge does your target audience have that you can fill? And then using video to do that. So yeah, that's probably the main one.
For what's performing right now, boots on the ground. You specialize in Google ads, you had mentioned, and obviously YouTube ad. Is there one that's better than the other? And how should real estate agents decide whether or not they should be focusing more on YouTube or Google?
I like YouTube organic and Google ads. So I've always liked these for a reason. They're both search platforms, right? As opposed to Facebook ads where you're relying on an algorithm to hopefully show your ads to the right people. With Google and YouTube, people are directly searching for these topics, which gives them something called search intent. So when someone searches for new construction homes for sale in Boise, Idaho, we probably know that some person's a little lower in the funnel. They're actually searching for homes, but not just homes, they're looking for something new, which says they're probably a little more decided of what they want. And so I like, as a paid ads platform, Google. I think YouTube ads can be great, but most people can't execute on them. I run YouTube ads for our business. I've done it for many years successfully, but I am a YouTuber. Like, I know how to work in front of a camera. I know how to script a hook and the body and a call to action of a YouTube ad. And it's very, you may not notice it in the ad, but there's a lot of planning that goes into that stuff. Then with a YouTube ad, you need like a landing page that aligns with the ad and the message and the promise of the ad. So I think YouTube ads are a little complicated for most agents. And
Right.
it's one of those things that I mostly see like bigger companies do, marketing agencies, people who really understand it. I haven't seen any huge case studies of YouTube ads working. We've done it and experimented with it for clients. And we did get it to work by offering lead magnets and other interesting things. We were doing webinars for a while, but it didn't actually work better than the Google ads. That was the interesting thing in the end. So we did all this work, and what happened was it was just more work, but it wasn't a better result.
Yeah.
So that was a lesson we learned hard in 2023 was we put all this energy in this new program, helped our clients build YouTube ads, funnels that gave away like these really cool lead magnets and other things that we were building with them. We had webinars on the back end of that and just created all this work. And it didn't improve the conversion rate. It still worked, but it didn't work better. And that was a bit of a dagger in the heart. But it was a good lesson to learn that, hey, YouTube ads and building a funnel around it can be really hard to execute. Whereas if you just focus on generating a volume of good leads through Google, you can then leverage YouTube videos organically or BombBomb videos or Loom videos to assist the conversion process.
Yeah. When people decide to farm, is what we call it, right? We usually say you got to farm the neighborhood if you're going to build your presence for at least a year to actually see it come back. Is it the same thing in ads that you've got to spend or you got to be consistent for a certain amount of time for you to actually see results?
Generally with ads, no, you can get results quickly. Like I just got an email yesterday from a client who closed his first lead. It doesn't happen usually like that, but it can happen. There's not really a benefit for having been doing it for a while other than the cost per lead we can work down or the quality we can work up. I would say with a YouTube channel, absolutely, it's a long game. With paid ads, you can generally get results right away. You just pay for it.
Yeah.
Like Google ads, you're literally just paying to be above Zillow and Realtor in the search
Yeah.
result most of the time. And then you're getting, for every 100 people that search that, you get 10 that click on your ad, 5 to 10. So it's just a numbers game. But
Is
as
there
far
a
as
certain amount of spend that you would recommend to an agent if they were going to get into hiring a agency like you guys?
I think like we don't operate in the low budgets anymore because the high budgets are generally where you can get way better results. So generally 2,500 a month, something like that. If you are DIYing it or working with more of a resale agency, you can get away with like 1,500 a month's a decent budget.
Mhm.
It's when you get down to the 500 a month where you're just not generating enough volume. It's really easy to focus on the wrong phone numbers or the bad names. With any online lead gen, you have to write off half the leads. And you just have
Yeah.
to expect that you're going to focus on half of the leads. And I would say you can get the results quickly, focus on the half of the leads. And I would say a good budget is starting at 1,500 and up. And the more you spend, the more good opportunities you're going to get that you can then focus on, right? Because if you're not getting a lot of opportunities, it's easy to focus on the ones that are maybe too far out or didn't give you correct information or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Where do you see agents making mistakes today when it comes
And
to lead gen?
I think that I see this so we have a lot of copycats. I actually had a
Mhm.
sales call with someone recently who was like, "Oh yeah, I'm talking to this other company. I go on their website and it's like word for word, like our old website actually."
Oh my
And
gosh.
I showed her that. And she's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yeah." So what happens in our world is there is a lot of, I would say, mostly young guys who are getting coached by, I'm not going to say who, but one guy, and they find other companies that are doing well, and they try and mimic what they're doing and create like a big offer with a money back guarantee. So be careful of money back guarantees. We don't do them. We do a lead guarantee now, but we don't do money back guarantee. I'll tell you why. Because generally, the people who are doing those are doing them because they need to do them to make sales, which is an
Mhm.
indicator that they're not experienced and they're not senior. And also, the money back guarantee, like, there's no performance guarantee possible in real estate because I can't sell a house for you. And I can generate all the best leads in the world, but if you can't talk to another person and convince them to work with you, it's not going anywhere. So you can't really do a performance guarantee in real estate because the sales cycles are so long.
By the way, it works
So
in coaching too. You
yeah,
can hire, but if you don't do the work, it doesn't go
yeah,
anywhere.
exactly. Totally. And so it's funny that you see these money back guarantees and they're usually from the new agencies that don't have a lot of experience. And then you have to read the fine print. And the fine print is usually a set of conditions that you're never going to be able to meet. And even if you do meet them, you put in all this time, all this money, and that's your true asset is your time. And then you're going to have to probably wrestle or fight for that money back if it doesn't work out anyways. And you don't know how big this company is or what, if they're going to be able to afford to even refund you. So
Right.
my caution is there's a lot of those companies out there in real estate, and it makes it really hard for the agent to sift through them all.
Mm.
And I don't blame them. I really don't. It's like, how do they know? That's why I say go read all the reviews, ask for case studies. Like we do a good job on our slash reviews page on our agent launch website to just showcase not just formal reviews, but screen grabs of like our clients saying things. And when they're like, can you send me a few people I could call? I said, just go on that page and call anyone you want. And that's it. And I don't think a lot of people would say that. So I hope that answers your question about
Yeah.
working with agencies.
Yeah. So, given like the fast changes that are always happening in digital advertising, how do you stay ahead of the curve and adapt like to what's changing? And what are some of the trends that you're seeing that real estate agents should be aware of?
The cool thing about Google Ads is it doesn't change that much over the years, actually, because people have been using Google the same way for a long time. I think Facebook is more subject to a lot of swings and different changes and stuff like that. But I do really think that using video is something a lot more people are doing, and it's
Mhm.
going to get more competitive.
Oh, yeah.
Building a YouTube channel today is probably harder than it was in the past because there's so many more people doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So just be careful of that trend, because I've taught agents YouTube for years and very few of them make it. And even the ones that do sometimes give up,
Yeah.
that's something that shocked me actually, was even the ones that were successful, it still fell to the bottom of the to-do list. And so I think that the trend is like, there's these shiny objects and everyone wants to jump on this bandwagon, and you hear there's coaches out there in our world that have done really well with YouTube, and YouTube can be life-changing. It was life-changing for me. I did it and successfully, but I recognize that it really takes a certain type of person to be successful with it. And you really have to stick it out long-term and focus on learning. There's a lot of intricacies to getting to people to click and to stay and researching your videos.
It's a
And
beast.
it's a,
I'm just
it's,
going to tell the audience it is a beast.
it's a beast, and it's really hard. And even the best YouTubers the only goal is to get better. Like,
Yes.
you cannot predict what people are going to click on and what's going to engage people 100% of the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so, but you have to be really committed to it. I don't know. I think that's one trend I'm seeing, is a lot of people wanting to build YouTube channels, but really very few people actually are successful with it. And I don't want to discourage anyone, but you got to take it really seriously and not trying to be building a TikTok and Instagram and Facebook group at the same time. That's where I think people go wrong, is they look at someone who's successful fourth quarter and they say, I need to do everything this person does. And they have a Facebook group and they have Instagram followers and they have a TikTok and they have a YouTube channel. But it's like, they didn't get there that way. They usually got there through one medium at first, and then they expanded and grew a team and had capacity to do more. And so if your thing is Instagram and you got traction, just triple down on that. Go into that, be the best at that, and that'll serve you probably the best long term.
Yeah. You've dropped a lot of knowledge when it comes to advertising, when it comes to leads, when it comes to conversion. What's something that you're working on that you're excited about, and what's next for Eric?
Good question. So, a lot actually. So we did this pivot into new construction, and that's been really successful. So we now have an exclusivity program where we're looking to fill up the map with good agents who want to essentially tap into the new home market. And in doing that, we bought the domain newconstructionhomes.com. We're currently building out that website to host all of our landing pages for our clients. We're also working on some SEO for that. We've had a lot of success with our SEO in-house, and we're now translating that into this new project. So the goal is to have exclusive partners around mostly the US, where they're specializing in new construction, and they can have exclusive access to the leads on those pages. And we're going to do the work in building the pages and getting better and better leads over time. And then to boot on that, we have a new content play called Future Living that we just launched. And the long-term goal of that is to actually drive traffic to the new construction home site. And so in our first 2 weeks, we already have over 2 million views in some of the videos we've made, which is pretty exciting. And I'm really excited with what the team's been doing. So that's what's
So
next
many
for us.
exciting things.
Yeah.
If people wanted to learn more, where should they connect with you? And we'll drop it also in our show notes.
Yeah, just go to agentlaunch.com, check out our website, go to our reviews page, read those. You can fill out a form and we'll give you a call. And if you're qualified, you'll get on a call with me and we can talk about our program and if we have availability in obviously that area as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And as we wrap up, there's always one question that I ask every person on the show is, what does Eric do to play bigger, either in business or in life?
I spent a lot of time in circles with people who are playing bigger. Like even today, I was at a founder's lunch, and spending time with people doesn't always mean physically spending time with them. You can spend time with them in your headphones. There was a long period of time where before Alex Hormozy was as big as he is, I was very into his stuff. And I would spend every day on my way to the gym, at the gym, on the way home from the gym, just consuming that content. And I think when you find people you like and you can look up to and you resonate with their message, like have them around you in your head. It'll help you shape thoughts differently and play bigger at the end of the day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eric, for your time today. I love all the things that you are up to. I love how you are impacting our industry and how you continue to help our industry. So thank you so much for being on our show. And I can't wait to keep supporting you.
Thanks, Raquel.